I woke up in a cold, sterile hospital room, the sharp scent of antiseptic filling my nose. My head throbbed with a dull, persistent ache that felt like it pierced straight through to my thoughts. I tried to move, but my body felt heavy, uncooperative, as if weighed down by an invisible force. The last thing I remembered was a sharp pain in my chest, like someone had ripped my heart out. And then, her face, Sophia, my wife. She had been standing there, but there was something else. A shadow, a figure I couldn't quite recognize. Then nothing. When I opened my eyes fully, Sophia was sitting beside my hospital bed. Her hand was gently holding mine, her face a mask of concern. Her eyes were red, swollen, as though she had been crying. For a fleeting moment, I believed her. The care in her expression, the softness of her voice, it felt real, like the Sophia I had fallen in love with. But then she spoke. "Darling," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry you had to see that. I never wanted you to find out like this. I should have kept it from you." Her words hit me like a sledgehammer. I stared at her, struggling to reconcile the person sitting before me with the woman I thought I knew. Her apology didn't make sense. Not to the man who had trusted her implicitly for 10 years. I wanted to believe her, to let myself drift back into the comfort of her lies. But the memory was too fresh, too sharp. It twisted in my gut like a knife, the pain refusing to let me look away from the truth. I knew what I had seen. Sophia and I had been married for a decade. We built a life together in a beautiful apartment in Berlin, a life that seemed perfect from the outside. I was a successful financial analyst, and Sophia had made her mark in the competitive world of luxury hospitality. We were the couple everyone envied, polished, accomplished, and deeply in love. Or so it seemed. Lately, though, cracks had begun to show. Sophia had grown distant, distracted. I had chalked it up to the pressures of her job. She was ambitious, rising through the ranks at the high-end hotel she worked for, and I admired her determination. But at night, when she came home, something felt off. Her eyes were distant, her laughter hollow, as if her mind was miles away. I should have seen the signs. The late nights at work, the half-empty bottles of wine I found on the counter when I came home, the way she would glance at her phone and quickly hide the screen when I entered the room. But I ignored them all. I trusted her. I thought we were happy. Until that night, the night it all fell apart. I had finished work early that day, leaving the office with an unshakable sense of unease. I couldn't explain it. A gnawing feeling in the pit of my stomach that urged me home. When I entered our apartment, the first thing I noticed was that Sophia's coat was missing. Her bag, too, was absent from the hallway. That wasn't unusual. She often stayed late for meetings or social events at the hotel. But something was different this time. There was a tension in the air, a subtle wrongness that set me on edge. And then I saw that I hadn't expected the faint sound of voices coming from the bedroom. I should have turned away. I should have respected her privacy. But something pulled me toward the door, an invisible thread that led me toward the truth. Against my better judgment, I pushed the door open just a crack, enough to peer inside. What I witnessed is a scene I'll never forget. Sophia was on the bed, her clothes scattered across the floor. She wasn't alone. The man beside her had his back to me, but I knew instantly who he was. Matthias, a colleague from her hotel. I had seen him a few times at social gatherings. Charming, always just a little too close to Sophia. I had dismissed it as nothing, convinced he was just being friendly. But now, watching them together, everything changed. Sophia's eyes were closed, her breath shallow as she kissed him. The connection between them was raw and passionate, something I couldn't deny. And the worst part, it wasn't just physical. There was something deeper in the way they moved together, a comfort, an intimacy that I had never shared with her. The world seemed to stop. The sound of my heartbeat was louder than everything else. I couldn't look away, frozen in place, unable to process the horror unfolding before me. And then everything went black. When I woke up in the hospital, everything felt surreal, like a dream. I was numb, disconnected from the reality around me. Sophia's words, her apology, they didn't make sense. How could they be real? I wasn't sure how long I lay there in that hospital bed, my thoughts swirling like a storm. The scene from the bedroom replayed in my mind over and over again. I couldn't shake the image of Sophia's betrayal. The face of Matthias burned into my brain. Sophia sat beside me, waiting for me to say something, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't even look at her without seeing them together, their faces twisted in pleasure. The woman I had loved, the one I had trusted with my heart, had just ripped it out and trampled on it. And the worst part, she expected me to forgive her. "You don't need to explain," I finally said, my voice cold and detached. "I know what happened." Sophia flinched, her eyes welling up with tears. "Please, darling," she begged, her voice breaking. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was a mistake." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, to make her feel the same pain that was coursing through me. But I held back. I knew better. Instead, I just stared at her. "A mistake?" I echoed, my voice tight with bitterness. "Do you know how long it takes to break a marriage like ours? How much effort it takes to destroy something beautiful?" But something unexpected happened. As I lay there in that sterile room, listening to Sophia continue to apologize, begging for my forgiveness, I realized something. I didn't feel anger, not in the way I thought I would. I thought I would feel rage, anguish, or despair, but instead there was a calmness, a clarity I hadn't had in a long time. I didn't feel sorry for myself. I didn't feel like a victim. Instead, I felt free from the illusion I had been living in for years, free from the love that had always been one-sided. And that's when it hit me, the realization of what I needed to do. I would make Sophia regret this, but not through shouting or accusations. No, that wasn't my style. I would take a different approach, calculated, intelligent. I knew exactly how to get revenge, and it wasn't just about Matthias. It was about the life we had built together, the image we had both worked so hard to project. That image was now shattered beyond repair, but I wouldn't let her get away with it. Not without losing everything. Over the next few days, I went through the motions, pretending to be the man who had been broken. I let Sophia think I was lost, confused, unsure of what to do. I listened to her excuses, nodded at her tears, and said nothing. But as the days passed, I quietly began working on my own plan that I contacted Matthias's wife, an innocent woman, caught in the web of his lies just like I had been. I told her everything, leaving no detail out. The texts, the hotel rooms, the lies. I painted a vivid picture of the betrayal. But I didn't stop there. I reached out to Sophia's colleagues, her superiors. I subtly whispered in the right ears, hinting at the things she had done to climb the corporate ladder. Her underhanded tactics, the backstabbing. Then, just when it seemed like Sophia's world was falling apart, I made my final move. I filed for divorce, taking everything, the apartment, the savings, the life we had built. But it wasn't the money I wanted. It was the control. Sophia's tears, her pleas, they meant nothing now. The divorce was final, and Sophia was left with nothing. No man, no career, no reputation. And while I watched her life unravel, I felt nothing, no joy, no satisfaction. Just an emptiness that had been replaced with something even more important. Freedom. In that moment, I realized that sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't about what you do to the other person. It's about taking back your life, your sense of self, your dignity. As I walked away from the ashes of my past, I heard a familiar saying echo in my mind. The greatest revenge is living well.